It was really shocking because all the people looking at you. You're always worrying about you might doing something wrong. And you just become really, really nervous. I started shaking. I forgot all my lines. And then I wanted to read the paper to remember my lines, but I couldn't because I was shaking it. So that was a slight problem. Afterwards, I felt like kind of, oh God, it's probably horrible.
Oh, I think when David went up to speak in front of all the Chinese kids, that was like something that he will remember for like his whole life. He got up and spoke in the Great Hall because it's just like you going to visit Bill Clinton in the White House.
We're having a lot of trouble getting permission to get our documents signed. So I would like for you to tell me what you think we should do.
We can beg them by saying, like, we came all this way, you know, to having high hopes and everything.
We can like release the tension if we do get the document signed, but not like all of it, but it will help with it. But if we don't, nothing's gonna change, and there was like no point in us coming out here if we're not gonna get it signed. Because we came out here to make peace, not just to look around.
It's good to get it signed, but whether we get it signed or not, at least we tried and did something. Tried to do something.
And how does that make you feel?
Good. I'm proud that we came.
Do you think that it means something for us to be here even if the document is not signed?
Yeah. We came with our intentions. We're bringing our love here, and like that's the main thing. I mean, it's a piece of paper, you know, it's very important, but still, I mean, it's not like it's some sort of magic paper that all of a sudden once you sign it, it's gonna release all of it, because like, the true peace comes from within. You have to make it. It's not always made with a piece of paper, because lots of times those things are broken.
It's so nice to be here.
After lunch, the schedule called for a visit to a Beijing school. The setting was ordinary. The entertainment was amazing. Everyone had a good time, but the Peace Kids found it frustrating that the Chinese children they were meeting did not speak English.
I haven't seen so many kids with so much talent. I wish I could speak Chinese with you.
Despite the VIP treatment, pressures were increasing not only in the political arena, but also on Pat. She was starting to have serious concerns. She had no word on when the declaration might be signed, and she still didn't have permission to unfurl the banner of hope.
At the time we were in Beijing, it was probably the most tense political time since Tiananmen Square massacre, truly. The United States had signed an arms deal with Taiwan. They were arresting people right and left from the Falun Gong meditation groups. We had just arrested a Chinese man who we we said was spying and selling our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. It was tense. Bo, Alex, get over here, please.
And as the trip reached its midway point, international issues weren't Pat's only worries. She was also concerned that some of the kids were not taking their peace mission seriously enough.
You're being watched. You represent the United States. So if you misbehave or you act like you're bored, then they're not going to think as much of the United States.
And you can play with the Chinese kids.
After lunch, it was off to the China Children's Center, where the peace kids got to look at the facilities and training that was available there.
Hold.
And as the kids were having fun on the dance floor, Pat was preparing to do some fancy footwork of her own. She was now resigned to the disappointing fact that the Declaration of Independence was probably not going to get signed. So she decided to focus all her efforts on getting permission to unfurl the banner of hope.
Okay, it's time to leave here. It's time to leave here.
But then, on top of everything else, her Chinese hosts complained to her about the behavior of some of the peace kids. So that evening, Pat called a meeting in her room.
I talked to you about respect, didn't I? The Chinese women were saying to me, oh, well, you know, they're suffering from jet lag. You're not suffering from jet lag. You've had plenty of time to shape up. I'm not just talking about respecting me. I'm talking about respecting our hosts.
A lot of times when we're being like rude and disrespectful is because we don't know how to act here really. Like where we go, we just go to McDonald's and Taco Bell, you know, and kids are always throwing ice cubes at each other, or you know, people are screaming. And, that's kind of disgusting. I mean, that's the environment we grew up in, and we just don't really understand how to be here.
Do you kids think that's a good way to grow up?
No.
How are you going to change that?
Like if your friends are doing it, you should not only like do it because your friends are doing it. You should do what yourself wants to do.
Good, we shouldn't be throwing ice cubes at each other and rest.
No, you shouldn't. Do you want to go on with the trip?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody wants to go on with the trip? Raise your hand. I know that some people may think I expect a lot of the children, and I do, and we should. I think we should all expect a lot of our children because they always rise to the occasion.
I very much respect what Pat is doing. I think it's a great thing. Instead of taking a bunch of grown-ups over, I think it's very interesting that she thinks that you can get it together with children, because like, I don't know that many other people who thought of that, and I think of what I've seen of the videos, that it really works. It really touches the leaders' hearts.
Beautiful thoughts. Thank you. I was most challenged on this Beijing trip by my own temper and my own lack of patience with the children. And I was ashamed of it later. Hey, thank you, Bo. You have too. It changed me in a subtle way of awareness of how different the children today are than they were even 10 years ago. And that we really, really, really have to look at these children. We have to look at ourselves. And we have to give our children more and less. We have to give them more attention. We have to listen. We have to give them more fullness of life. We have to give them a spiritual aspect of life. We need to teach our children that we are indeed our brothers and sisters' keepers. We need to do that for them as well as for us in the future. Mahatma Gandhi said it very, very well. If we are to